Kane, and I'm the owner of Shu Designer Cakes and Pastries. We do all custom cakes here. We're open by appointment only. What we do here is a lot of wedding cakes and groom's cakes. We do a lot of milestones and birthday type cakes, and we also do sculpted and carved ones. We would love to hear from you if you'd like to order something for your special event. We're going to be making for you today a healthy version of a sugar shortbread cookie. It was inspired by my little nephew, who will not eat anything green or vegetable or fruit. We had a little thing going when we visited where I was trying to get him to eat one green bean and he would not do it. So his birthday was in January, and I came up with a version of the sugar cookie that we make here for custom orders that has half the butter, and it's replaced with a pureed vegetable. We use a baby food, and he loved the cookie. Luckily, he's a cookie freak and didn't even think about what might be in it. So we're just going to show you how to make this sort of healthy version of a sugar shortbread cookie. In this bowl we have 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and these little containers have a teaspoon each of salt and baking powder and cornstarch or corn flour. Over here is 1 stick of butter, 1 egg, and these are 4-ounce jars of baby food. We're going to use the green beans today, but you can use any flavor you want. And this is a food coloring. Okay, so to get started with the cookies, we're going to start first with the 1 stick of room temperature butter, and that's kind of important just to make sure that all the ingredients, the egg and the butter, basically are at room temperature. So we're going to put the butter into the mixer, and we're just going to start this. Might be a little bit loud. We're going to cream this 1 stick of butter with a cup of sugar until it's light and fluffy, kind of white and creamy, just on a low speed. So while that's combining, I'm going to go ahead and open up the baby food. It's not quite creamed enough yet, but before it gets completely incorporated, since we're substituting half of the butter that would have normally been in here, we don't want it to get completely creamed without putting in the substitute, which is the 4 ounces of baby food. In this case, it's the green beans. Okay, and I'm going to turn it up just a little bit more and let it go for a little while. I do use this AmeriColor food coloring here in the bakery. We're going to combine all of the dry ingredients together. So here we have that 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and we're just going to add the teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of baking powder, and I like to add a teaspoon of corn flour to this. It's not in our regular sugar cookie recipe, but because the baby food is sort of more liquid than butter would have been, a little bit of cornstarch helps to absorb a little bit of the extra liquid and keep the cookie from spreading too much. We just add it to the butter mixture. And each time you add it, let it incorporate before you add another amount of flour. Make sure you have the mixer on a low speed when you start to add the flour, so that it doesn't explode all over the place in a big cloud. It's going to start to pull together into a dough. You can kind of tell when you've mixed long enough when you sort of touch the dough and it feels a little bit spongy. It does not go into a ball in the middle of the bowl. It's going to be all over the bowl, but it's not too tacky when you touch it. It doesn't stick to your finger. And we're going to move on to the next step, which is rolling it out. We're going to use a sheet of parchment paper. Actually, it's 2 sheets of parchment paper. Just kind of eyeball about half of it. And just plop it in the middle of this paper. Okay, so you take a rolling pin and put another piece of parchment over the cookie dough. Just roll this out about a 1/4 of an inch thick, and just slide the dough onto the baking sheet and then stick it in the fridge for about 10 minutes. What we're going to do at this point is to peel off the top layer of paper, and you can see I already cut one out because I baked one for you to look at in a minute. But what's great about this is that you can take your cookie cutter and cut the cookie. We're doing sort of spring and Irish theme for St. Patrick's Day. And then what you do is you leave the cookie in place on the paper and just remove the excess from around it. Okay, so your cookies are left in place. They're not going to get warped from you picking them up and trying to move them onto the tray. And also all of this dough that you want to reuse has not come in contact with any excess flour. You just re-roll it again, and it's just like the first batch of dough. As long as it's still cold by the time you're done cutting out your shapes, these can go right into the oven. If you feel like you've been working for a while and they're getting a little soft, pop them back in the refrigerator for just a couple minutes, because the colder they are, the less they will spread in the oven. The oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And when they're chilled, it usually takes about 10 minutes. This is how they come out. This is just a little shamrock, and they're good just like this with nothing on them, but this is an excellent cookie for decorating, especially for children because it holds up, and but it's still really tender. You can decorate it with royal icing or just regular buttercream frosting or whatever you like, but you can see if they're colored for the holiday or whatever, they don't really need that much decoration. You can use whatever type of baby food that you like, or you can make it yourself, obviously, with whatever vegetable you like. But for our purposes today, we used vegetables just because they're a little bit lower in sugar. You can use applesauce or prunes or whatever other sweeter baby food fruit that you like. The only thing is that would be a little bit different in our recipe is that you're going to want to adjust the sugar when you're creaming the butter and sugar together. Probably by a couple of tablespoons. Just take a few tablespoons out of that cup to account for the fructose that'll be in the baby food fruit. So here is the final result. It's our hidden veggie cookie, and I did originally make this for my nephew, who still doesn't know that he ate a vegetable cookie. So sister-in-law, when you show this to him, tell him I love him very much. And I'll send him more soon. Surprise!